what makes one business owner exponentially better than another average business owner? What are the qualities that makes this person so good, especially when we're dealing with a data set that tells us 85% of the businesses fail within the first year? That's a scary number, but I know through my years in business, when you have a business related problem, that means you have a personal problem that's reflecting on your business. So when someone says they have a problem with their business, that usually means that they're struggling themselves with something. Over the years, I've been trying to find an answer to this question, and it kind of boiled down to 3 habits. I want to give you a fair warning. A lot of the things that I will say you might not really like, and at the end, many people will not even apply those 3 things because they're not like quick fix tactical things. They are things that you will need to shape yourself to be a different person so you can succeed at that level. If a business owner wants to stay average and grow linearly, these 3 do not necessarily apply. The first one I recognize on every successful entrepreneur that I meet and come across, they have a unique routine. Their daily habits are much different than non-business owners or non-financially successful people. They built up this routine that when you watch it from outside, it might not even make sense, or it might sometimes look simplistic because you would expect a figure business owner to work, eat, sleep, business 24/7, and you don't necessarily see that. It makes you question why that is so. And a lot of times people draw the wrong conclusion by saying that A, he or she is just lucky, happened to be at the right place at the right time. They're just riding the wave, or they're given a lot more credit than they deserve by saying things like that, put them in a pedestal at a level of like godly level business owner. Oh, he's or she's so successful, it's in his genes. People don't want to kind of drill down into the daily routines things. So the way our habits work is that we do something over and over again in a consistent manner, and that becomes habitual, and our habits determine what kind of results we get through the things that we work on. So if you have habits that propel growth, then you grow a lot better than someone who have these sporadic spurs of motivation to take action. For example, you're a business owner and you know that marketing is the lifeblood of your business. Companies who grow exponentially, that have a marketing calendar that they follow every single day, they know what they're going to be doing Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It's planned out for the next 90 days to 120 days. Whereas another business owner, they understand marketing is important, but they have what I call as random acts of marketing. They feel like they want to post something on Facebook and they do. 2 days later, they do something else, or they disappear from online for like 2 months and come back. So it's not habitual. It's based on their behavior, based on how they feel for the day. When it's something is not habitual or consistent, it doesn't become a routine. When you have unsuccessful routines, you cannot really grow. That's why successful companies, they do certain things over and over and over again. Over time, it looks like they're not doing a lot of work because they're just so good at it. But since they've done it so many times, they get really good at it and it doesn't feel like a lot of work. The way for you to figure out if you have a good routine throughout the day is write down what you're spending your day on. Let's say you're a budding entrepreneur, you still have your side gig, but you have a job. Obviously, you have to be at your job certain hours of the day. I ask members in our community to have a practice of what I call 100 units of time. So you write down what it is that you do every 30 minutes. You take out the major blocks that you can't really control. For example, if you have a job that you have to show up to 40 hours a week, obviously you take that out. Like let's say today is Monday and you're leaving your home at 8 o'clock, you have a commute of 1 hour and you start your job at 9 and you leave at 5, and by the time you're home it is 6. So from 8 to 6 is totally blocked out. So you want to make a note of that. But when you do come back, you have another 18 hours, right? Maybe 15 hours. You're going to sleep at a certain point, certain number of hours. Take that out as well. But the remaining time, just map out what you're spending your time on. A lot of people spend a lot of time on their phones. What is it that you're watching? Are you watching things that allows you to grow your business, or are you just watching funny cat videos, or you keep scrolling through TikTok or Facebook or your YouTube. If you're like an average entrepreneur, no wonder that your business is doing average because your routines are not that good. Whereas if you have only 3 hours a day, but if you spend all that 3 hour on growing, taking actions, predictable actions, and growing the business, that would certainly help you. So that's number one, have a successful routine. Number two is changing your network. One of the most misunderstood processes of successful entrepreneurship. When you look at your network of people, your spouse, your friends, colleagues, you're usually the average of the 5 people that you hang out the most. And when you become a budding entrepreneur, when you try to become an ambitious entrepreneur, what you're trying to do is do a lot more, financially speaking, than the average circle that you're in. For example, the circle that you're in, they average $50,000 to $60,000 per year in income. You're probably pretty close to that. And when you decide to become a millionaire entrepreneur, meaning that you want to have a business that does $1 million a year, you would need to change your income from $50,000 a year to $80,000 plus per month. As you can see, that's a drastic change. Your circle is here. You're trying to take your business to this level. It becomes an impossible task when you keep hanging out with these people because they never achieved a level of success, financially speaking, at that level, but they just don't know how to support you, and unintentionally they drag you down, right? So path to hell is paved with good intentions. That's the saying that I keep in mind. So they have the good intentions, they just don't know how to help you because you're changing a lot faster. The solution is not to dump your family and friends and your spouse, obviously, but find yourself a new network of people who are successful. Prior to the days of internet, this would be done through apprenticeship or just moving out of your current village or town, going to a more affluent area. I recently actually experienced this even in this day and age. I used to live in a big house on 5 acres, beautiful home, great neighborhood, but we were surrounded by cornfields. Like this is like deep in Pennsylvania. We had great neighbors. It's an Italian town. Everyone likes each other. They visit each other. But financially speaking, I was the biggest fish in the pond. All of the other people had small businesses, and I'm running an 8-figure business with very few employees, and everyone made me feel like I'm the local celebrity. Obviously, you personally like that and you enjoy that feeling that, oh, I'm the best in this town. But it started bugging me because I knew that I'm going to become the average of my network. And I started telling my wife that we have to move to an area where I hang out with people who are making 100 million, 300 million, a billion. So that way I feel like I'm the small fish and I work harder to catch up to those people, because what happens is you start getting complacent when you're the biggest fish because you feel like, well, I've accomplished all of this. Why would I work any harder? I don't need to do any more. I've done enough, which is a very dangerous feeling for an entrepreneur, because in business, you don't stop. The moment that you slow down, someone else is accelerating. That feeling of massive accomplishment, when it hits you, it leads to complacency. You started believing in the story that you hear from others that you're this great person, you're super successful. We got out of our comfort zone. We moved into a much affluent neighborhood. When I came here, I met with the neighbors. They're amazing people, but I felt pretty bad about my situation because I was talking to our next door neighbor, and he owns a golf course. Like, who owns a golf course, right? This guy owns a few golf courses. He doesn't even play golf. He just enjoys the business model. That's why I decided to buy him up. So when you're dealing with people like that, you notice that your network makes a lot of difference. If you're generating 50 to 60K per year right now, you want to hang out with people who are doing at least $500,000, 10 times more than you do. So that way you can learn, you can accelerate your learning a lot faster. So whenever you get a chance, if you can, pay your way into those groups. And if you don't have the money, there are a lot of networking events in major cities that you can go to, and they don't really cost anything. So you can just hang out, start making connections with people who are way better off than you are financially speaking. Number 3 goes hand in hand with the first one and the second one, which is investing in yourself. The highest return that you're going to get from anything in life, that includes cryptocurrencies, stocks, and other businesses, is the investment in yourself. You have the highest potential of giving you the highest return, because you might start a bad business, you might live in a bad neighborhood, you might lose it all. The only thing you're not going to lose is the skill set that you develop, and that requires investment in yourself. When I say investment, it might scare people off. Yeah, Oz, I don't have money to invest. But in this day and age, even if you're short on money, there are a couple of things you can tap into. I remember the first time that I signed up to Tony Robbins coaching. Whether you like him or not is a different story. I'm a big fan of him. I think he changed my life for the positive. I just ended up being on one of his events, and I think it was like $945 for 2 tickets. Put it on the credit card because I didn't have the cash available. I was working a job that I used to make $45,000. Both my wife and myself went to the event for 3 days. We walked on fire. It was a crazy, exhilarating, euphoric experience. But when we come out of that, I felt like a different person, because that was the first time that I saw the potential in myself. That was the first time that I invested. Right after the event, I bought into Tony Robbins coaching. The price was, it was incredibly high. It was beyond what I can ever afford at that point. It was like $12,000. We just don't have the money. We put it on the credit card. I'm not saying that you go on a shopping spree and put things on credit card, but if it is your investment, I highly suggest that you become more resourceful. It would have been a lot easier for me to say, honey, we don't have the money right now. We'll do this when we have the money. Well, guess what? We will not have the money because we haven't invested in ourselves. It's the chicken or the egg situation. People who shy away from investing in themselves because they lack the money are the people who need to do everything to invest in themselves because they lack the money. So investing in yourself can be done through credit. Let's say you don't have access to any credit. Well, you have YouTube and Google. You have access to unlimited amount of information. Focus on skills that make money. Write down your skill set, the things that you do know right now based on your life experiences. You might say, I'm a really extroverted person. I enjoy talking to people. Okay, that's a skill set. I'm an introverted person. I don't like talking to people, but I like deep thinking. Well, that's another skill set. I'm in sales. I've sold lemonades, I don't know, when I was 7 years old. So that's a skill set. I understand marketing. Well, I don't understand any one of those things, but I look at numbers and numbers make sense to me. So I'm sure you have something going for you. So you make a list of all the skill sets that you have and start doing a research on how you can monetize that skill set on an appropriate business. Let's say you haven't sold anything in your life and your sales skills is at 0 out of 10, but you have an amazing management skill at 8 out of 10. What do you think makes more sense? You start a sales career when you're at 0, or find a business model that already has the management skill in use that you can take advantage of, like all these years of work you've done managing people successfully. What if you can do it in your own business? What if you can find a business model that explores that, and then you can make a lot of money doing that? Think of this as like a funnel. The top of the funnel is very wide. You started out thinking, how do I make more money as an entrepreneur? Now I made you focus on the skill sets that you have. Now it's very specific. How can I make money as a great manager? Then you find out free content and you start studying it. You take action. So that's number 3, because you might have good routines that you repeatedly do things. You might be in the right network. If you invest in yourself, you'll be able to distinguish what to do, when to do it, and how often to do it. You'll be able to see through the whole thing to notice where it will take you. So those are the 3 habits that very successful entrepreneurs who grow their businesses from 0 to 8 figures have. So if you want to hear more from me, definitely subscribe to this channel. If you enjoy this content, please like this video and comment below. I would love to hear your ideas about these strategies and if you find them useful or not. And I'll see you on the next video. Take care now.